comment about the time to walk to the stations, and it's definitely a concern. But I'm wondering, I mean, that's more of like a UTA maybe question, but I don't know if they have like guidelines on how long those periods are or something to get across.
Crosswalks, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really in the city's control, but I think it's a good point if that seems to be an issue.
On that same topic, I had a constituent shared this idea with me. He actually, there are strong towns meetings on Monday nights in Ogden. And what was suggested is we adopt something that other cities have done, where you give the pedestrian, the walk sign at an intersection, a head start. So the four corners of vehicle traffic hold to allow the individual to get into the crosswalk so they're seen. So if you picture yourself making your way across the street and you've got cars on your left that are going to make a right-hand turn as quickly as you get a walk sign, they may not be looking for a pedestrian there, where if the pedestrian is out a little further, they'll notice them. And maybe for the handicapped as well, they get a little head start on the traffic before it's entering an intersection. But that's something that I think coincides with what Linda was talking about, that might bring an advantage to some of the short timing cycles that her husband observed.
Chair White, can I add a comment to that? Every time I see something strong towns related, I generally like what's being discussed. I think they're very sensible, they're forward thinking, they're very place making, and I generally really like that. I love what you just discussed because it hits on other priorities within other departments as well, where our police department is really focused on right-hand turns and crosswalks, because that's where we have isolated where we're seeing more auto peds. And so people are being hurt in those right-hand turn things. And so that's something that our engineering group contemplates on, because what we haven't done in the past is we haven't looked at all of the tools available to us to help resolve those sorts of issues. And right now we are. So those are the kinds of things that we're collaboratively looking at across departments. But again, those are not necessarily contemplated here, but when those improvements are made, those are absolutely contemplated in that at that time.
Yeah,
right?
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, but love your comment and the idea around that.
Good evening, Ogden City Council. I'm Nick with the Ogden Strong Towns group. I've got some of my members in the back there. I'd like to thank Councilmember Dave Graff for giving us a shout out earlier and for bringing up what I was going to talk about during this public comments, which is a proposal to improve the safety of downtown and other highly walked areas by means of a leading pedestrian interval. Now, who knew what a leading pedestrian interval was more than 30 minutes ago? All right, perfect. So the concept is pretty simple. You turn on the walk sign 3 to 7 seconds before the cross traffic starts at an intersection to give the people crossing the street a head start. This increases safety for those crossing the street by increasing visibility, which is especially helpful for children, the elderly, and the disabled. We actually heard concerns about disabled people crossing the street earlier today. In fact, the Federal Highway Association has mentioned that they saw a 13% reduction in vehicle pedestrian collisions at intersections in their study. So as was also brought up today, the Wall Avenue improvements are coming in 5 to 10 years. And those will be great, but this is something we can do far sooner and on a much more widespread scale. In that same Federal Highway Association article, they mentioned that the cost for implementing LPI is very low when only signal timing alteration is required, which I'm not an infrastructure expert, but seems like that could be the case. It's already been done in other cities, including Salt Lake City. You can go down there and try it out yourself. And the best places for this would be, on a small scale at least, in downtown and near OGX stations. Those would be a good start. So as for the call to action, you should really at least direct somebody to go talk to UDOT about doing this for all of our main roads, think Washington, Monroe, and Wall. As for the non-main roads, those grid roads in downtown, Adams, Grant, 23rd, 22nd, we can run small-scale experiments. You know, the advantage of it being cheap to implement is it's also pretty cheap to unimplement if we decide that it was a bad idea. So, to wrap this up, we shouldn't wait 3 to 5 years to do something, or to wait for someone else to do something about a problem when there's already a quick and cheap mitigation that we can do right now. And to do so is kind of to knowingly put people in danger. And that's all I've got for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks.